We just got back from traveling around South America for 6 months, and we definitely found there were some things that were helpful that we brought. So we've gone through some of our items and we've picked out some of the more, maybe slightly more unusual things. So first thing, I definitely found it was helpful to bring my cell phone and a tablet. If you have a computer, you can bring that as well. I did end up bringing my computer, but it's really bulky and kind of heavy to carry around, so you don't have to bring a computer. I might recommend not bringing one and just bringing a tablet instead. Another thing I also found was very helpful is headphones. It's kind of nice to have headphones just in case, you know, you want to watch Netflix, you're staying up late. Kind of a good thing just to have. Another thing I found very helpful was a sleeping mask and earplugs. Especially if you're in the jungle or even a big city, you know, it can be really loud late at night. You just want to go to bed. This one's probably a given, but often I tend to forget it, so I'm going to include it on the list just in case. Sunglasses. And sure, maybe you think, okay, well, what if I have glasses? You can't wear sunglasses over. They actually do have sunglasses that can go on top of glasses. Another thing that I definitely found very helpful was hand sanitizer. There are a lot of times where you may find yourself in a bathroom that doesn't have soap. Maybe they have running water, but that's about it. Another thing, depending on where you're going, but probably will want to have some of it, is sunscreen. We brought a lot of sunscreen on our trip and didn't even end up using as much as we thought. When we started in Costa Rica, it was very sunny and we used it almost every single day. But as we kind of progressed a little bit lower and we were more in the Amazon, deep into the jungle, didn't really use sunscreen as much because we were pretty dense in the forest. Another thing, lip balm. This one I really like. I like the Blistex. I have also the little like tube one. This one is also a sunscreen for your lips, so really good. This was probably the most important thing for me because I tend to just get attacked by any kind of insect out there, so bug spray, definite must. And then of course, even though you have the bug spray, inevitably you're gonna get bit, so definitely a good idea to have Afterbite just to kind of deal with the itching so that you can actually get to sleep. Another thing that I wish we had thought about a little bit more before going is different medication. So depending on where you're going, you might need malaria pills. So that we had prepared for, as well as some Advil. I'd also recommend getting some Benadryl because that's another thing that I didn't plan for. You know, I expected, yeah, I'll get bit, but I didn't expect to react to certain bites the way I did. There was a couple different like little biting flies that made my skin just swell up. So the Benadryl just kind of helps to take that inflammation down. Now this one might be something that people might think, I don't need that. But if you do need it, then you'll really wish that you had it. And a sewing kit and a Swiss Army knife with scissors, or even just a small pair of scissors. I think I used my sewing kit at least 6 times. There was a time where my tent fell apart and I had to sew it together. There was a part where one of my bags was starting to come apart. Kind of nice just to have a sewing kit just in case. Now here's another thing that I found very useful, and actually we found it so useful that we went out and bought another one because we are doing another part of our trip. We're going to Africa and Asia pretty soon here, is waterproof bags. So this little one is the one that I brought to South America, and it's perfect if you just want to put your phone or your camera, and you know, if you're going for walks near a beach or a waterfall or anything, kind of nice to know that your electronics are safe. And then we brought a bigger one so that, you know, anything that we bring, if we want to bring a change of clothes or anything, you know, that'll stay dry too. Now this one is really going to depend on what kind of thing you're wanting to do when you travel to South America. For me, I love birds, I love wildlife, so binoculars was a must for me. If you're not really into wildlife, maybe you can skip on this one. So again, this one is going to be if you're more into the outdoorsy kind of thing. If you're going into the jungle, especially if you're planning on doing any night walks or that kind of stuff, you're gonna want a headlamp. I mean, you can bring a flashlight, but then your hand is gonna be occupied and you can't, you know, take pictures or you can't look around, so nice to have a hands-free light device. And they tend to be just run on the old school kind of batteries, so nice to have extra batteries just in case. So this next one we looked into a fair bit, and it's a travel microfiber quick dry towel. And I ended up going with like the gigantic size. You can get them much, much smaller, but they fold up super small, they dry really fast, So if you are traveling for an extended amount of time and you're not going to be staying in hostels or hotels that have towels provided, you might want to look into getting a nice quick dry towel for yourself. Okay, now we're into the more clothing aspect. So one thing that maybe you don't think about is how many shoes to bring. You think, maybe I'm good with running shoes and flip-flops. That may be true depending on where you're going. If you are going into the jungle and you are going to be doing a lot of trekking through the woods, or if you're doing different volunteering things and you know that it's a rainy area, you may want to bring more than just running shoes and flip-flops. For example, you might want to bring hiking shoes. We found those were quite helpful. Or you might even want to bring rubber boots. Now I know that these are kind of gigantic and maybe you want to try to limit as much as you can. So if you don't need to bring rain boots, you know, maybe you want to pass on them. However, we both brought a pair of rain boots and we used them every single place that we went. Another thing, you may think, oh, South America, it's gonna be so warm, I'm just gonna wear t-shirt and shorts all the time, no problem. Yeah, think again, especially if you're going into the jungle or any kind of nature walk. You're gonna want a long sleeve shirt and long sleeved pants, or long pants. Because even though maybe it can be a little bit warmer, would you rather get attacked by millions of little insects, or would you rather be slightly warmer? And if you can get like a nice thin pair, especially a nice thin pair that dries quickly, because more often than not, either it was raining and our clothing got wet, or you had to walk through some kind of river and then your clothes get wet as well. Another thing, long socks. Maybe they're not the most fashionable, but it'll give your legs a little bit of extra protection, because that's definitely where the bugs tend to bite the most, is on that lower calf region. So long socks just kind of gives you a little bit of extra protection. And I had mentioned these earlier, but also running shoes and flip-flops. So yeah, we brought 4 different kinds of footwear during our trip. Definitely glad we did, because as I mentioned before, you know, sometimes we're walking outside and it's raining, or we have to go through rivers. If you're going through a river, unless you're taking your shoes off every single time, you're gonna just end up walking in your shoes and then they're gonna get wet. So it's kind of nice to have an extra pair of footwear that's dry while the wet ones are drying. And last but not least, you'll probably want to bring a camera. If your phone takes great photos, then that's okay, just bring your phone. For me, my phone is not good at all with taking pictures, so I decided to bring a separate little camera, which is actually the one I'm filming with right now, so I can't show it to you, but imagine little cute Canon camera. That's what I brought, and it was fantastic. Anyway, so that's all the things that we could think of. If you have any questions, you can post them below. Hopefully you guys found that helpful, and if you are doing a trip to South America, maybe you'll think about bringing some of those things. All right, see you guys later.